so perhaps we can start with our fire chief.
No, let's start with fire chief, yeah.
Well, you're the first on our, oh no, sorry, we actually have,
Doesn't
Alan
matter.
on first, so yeah.
You go first.
I can go first.
Okay. Well,
Do you want me up there or just?
No, yeah, let's.
Okay, well, as you guys can see, we had a total of 8 emergency calls in the month of December. 5 were in town, 2 were in the MD. I mean, it's a pretty standard month. Nothing out of the ordinary. Does anybody have any questions about any of the calls? Or?
I had one question, was why does the hospital not call the fire department when they have these false alarms all the time? Do they not know they're having an alarm?
They do.
But they don't call you?
No. We have tried to bill them. The hospital refuses to pay. They haven't paid any bills yet, so we just quit billing them. And I don't know what we do. Just grin and bear it till we get a new hospital, I guess, and hopefully everything will be resolved.
It's just because when you guys get called in for something like that and you show up, do you get, is there a payment, like do you get 2 hours or 4 hours for showing up?
For the men, you mean?
Yeah.
They get a half hour.
Oh, a half hour,
Yeah.
So it's not much for the time and the disruption and everything else.
Well,
What's that?
But they don't get financial compensation, do they? They get recognition that they showed up to a call. Is there financial compensation?
Yeah, we get paid $10 an hour for showing up at a fire call. So for a false alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning, you get out of bed, you run down to the fire hall for $5. So, I mean, the guys are really making a lot of money. So
Yeah, it's
Impacts it too forward.
yeah, they're not doing it for the money. That's
no,
for sure.
but that's what I mean. It's yeah.
But it is a pain. We're finding that a lot of the calls we're getting, like the monitored alarm calls that we're getting fewer and fewer people showing up. I think it's the old boy cried wolf. Everybody's just getting tired of it. And what I'm afraid of is one of these days we're going to have a real fire and we'll have 2 or 3 guys show up at the fire hall and we're going to be in trouble. So.
Well, when you see here that, you know, that you've had 5 alarms and they were all false alarms, and that's 1 month, and you do that month after month after month, it does ring a pattern, right? You
I'm
know,
just working on the yearly fire report right now. I should have it ready for next council meeting. But we've had 140 calls this last year, and I believe there'll be around 60 of them were alarm calls. So, you know, it just goes to show you how many times the guys got out of bed and went running down to the fire hall for no reason. So.
is there any way to solve that issue?
Get rid of monitored alarms in the homes. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. We are billing for, like, the first one's free, second one they get a warning, and then the third one they get an invoice for. So, but there's so many of them in town now, like everybody's got an alarm system put in, and we don't get very many third calls. We get a lot of first and seconds, so we don't get to do a whole lot of billing. Do recover some of it.
Any other questions?
Not a question, but just to add to what the chief is saying, it's you get out of bed, but you're also leaving your employers. So you're paid to be doing a job, and your pager goes off, and it's like he says, it's coming across as an alarm, but one of these days it's going to be a real fire. So you take off from work, now your employer's suffering for it.
I'm just wondering, how's your recruiting coming?
Very,
Do you have
very
any-
slow. We've tried a few different, recruitment campaigns and, signs and billboards and stuff, and so far we've got one new firefighter, so, it's just very, very slow. And this last week, we lost another fellow that went to the oil field, and he works 2 weeks in, 1 week out. So, there's another one that's going to be there 1 week out of the month, and, so in the past 2 months, we've had 3 people go to work in the oil field. Same thing, they're working shift work. So they're there a third of the time, and the other 2/3 are working, so.
Do you know what Peace River does to have more success? Apparently Peace River has pretty good success getting recruits for their volunteer fire department. Do you have any idea what they do different?
Peace River has, I think they've got 10 or 12 full-time, because they do the ambulance service as well. So they're not as strapped for personnel as we are, because they do look after the ambulance, so that, like, they're paid positions. And then they do have their volunteers just to fill in for the extras that they have.
Okay, well maybe that's it. When I was talking to you about DMI and what they,
Right,
when I was
yeah.
talking to them about their fire, they were made a comment that Peace River wasn't short of volunteer fire people. I said,
Yeah,
well,
because
that's-
they've got, I'm not sure the exact number, 10 or 12 paid positions. It'd be just like the ambulance crew here, like I don't know how many guys we have on the ambulance crew here, but I mean, they're full-time paid people, so it'd be the same at Peace River, so. They
So
do
they're
both, they do the ambulance
ambulance
and
slash
fire.
fire. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the chief? No?
Yes. So I want to say a big thank you to the chief. He's had a difficult time since last year, end of the year. But he showed up at work, and he's done the best that he can. And I want to just say a big thank you to him.
Great, yeah.
And just one more thing, the guys are all, wanna thank everybody, well, I don't know if it's council or public works staff, but, they wanna thank them for the turkeys they got for Christmas, so. Everybody was happy.
All right, great. Mr. Bloom.
Another typical month, other than, we had this is November's report, so we had the, Christmas light up. Went off without a hitch, other than that, yeah, I don't, council have any questions about the report?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a few if you don't mind. I've noticed there's some vehicles that are parked along roadways that appear to have been there for a while. Flat tires, things like that. I think we have a bylaw in place that says it has to be movable once every,
72 hours, yeah.
okay, or 2 weeks, I think, for a vehicle or something. Oh, no, that's not on their yard. Yeah, 72 hours on the road.
Yeah.
Do you give warnings out, advise them, come on, you can't do that?
Yes, we actually, this last month, between the two of us, we probably posted 12, 14 vehicles.
Sweet.
We give them the opportunity.
Yep.
I personally have told 2. People just ignore it, the warning. We put it on the windshield underneath the, brush the snow off so they can
Yeah.
see it. But yeah, we
And
have.
then you go back like 3 days later if it's not
Yeah,
moved.
it's a 72-hour
ticket.
notice. Obviously give them the opportunity to move it themselves, if not, then we
Okay.
tow it.
There's a comment from the back.
When public works are cleaning the roads, I've instructed the guys to, if they notice vehicles continually being parked and not moved, to let me know, and the residents that they're parked in front, and then we forward it on to Alan and Mark to have moved. Or
The other question I had was, at the December 10th meeting, council passed a motion in regards to bylaw being enforced. The Tim Hortons lot down the road, did you get to do that?
Administration and, yes, we contacted the property owner. They have till this Friday.
So I'm curious why the permit expired in August. The extension expired 90 days later, which would have been December 1st. It was sitting there until December 10th. Council passed a motion giving direction to administration to act. And now January 10th, we're being told they have till January 15th. Because I don't think that's what the motion said.
The motion said we should enforce. And the process of enforcement is to be in touch with this person, see what they can do. And they said, I talked to January 15th, we sent the letter from enforcement as well. 2 letters were sent. And if 15th it doesn't move, then we have to have a removal order, and then we go to court. So it's very, very clear. That's the process that we went through.
Yeah, but my understanding is the bylaw is pretty clear that they had 90 days either to renew the permit, to do something with it. They didn't do it. The permit had expired in August, and they had 90 days on this trailer. The 90 days passed. Another 10 days go by. Council gives a motion and gives direction to administration to act. And you're telling me your act was not to follow the motion, but to interpret the motion, to contact the owner to see when they're ready to move it.
We discussed this, myself and the senior peace officer. And part of the process of enforcement was to make sure that he has a letter, because he made a promise to us that you have the trailer off by January 15th. He stated that categorically. So we sent a letter to him reminding him of the promise that he made to us, and that if by the 15th that promise is not kept, we'll have a removal order, we'll be going to court.
Okay, but then every vehicle that's parked on the street, I'll just respond to you and say 3.5 months later, I'll have it moved. Right? I'm sorry. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that a motion was passed, the intent was there, the direction was given, and a different interpretation was applied.
I believe.
Go ahead, Deb.
I'm just curious, Quentin, what do you think they should do? Like, what do you think they should have done different? Because we gave them a motion to enforce it. In their opinion, this is trying to enforce it, right? So what did you think that we could
The
have done
bylaw,
differently?
I don't have the bylaw in front of me, but I believe what it would state is a cease and desist on the actual site. No more work can be done or completed or activity until things get organized. Now, that should have occurred December 11th or 12th.
Can we do that without, like, you're saying we have to involve court, Kelly? Like, we have to involve
The
lawyers?
two-step process, right?
Yeah, you're right, you're correct. We issued a stop order as of Friday. If it's still there, we issue a stop order. And if they continue, and we have to go through the courts process now?
Yeah.
Obviously.
But the stop order should have been done December 11th or 12th is my concern,
Okay.
right? Because it had already been 100 days. 10 days past the term that was allowed, right? To give some leeway. Well, then council made direction to administration that, okay, now a stop order should be issued. Follow the bylaw. Unfortunately, it wasn't done. Discussion was entered, and it was determined that January 15th would be a good date.
Well, I'm sorry, but
I don't know where January 15th came from. I'm just,
to start the process, we can't, well, I guess we could have
I wasn't aware of the 90 days, but anyway, we want to give the property owner. It worked out that their property manager was on holidays when that discussion was happening. So we had to wait till he got back, and then the emails went back and forth. And
He was notified in August
Okay.
that he had 90 days. So that's where my concern comes in.
Okay.
If we give a 90-day timeline and it goes 100, because nobody wants to be a jerk, well, you know what? You obviously are not following the rules that we're putting in place. So here's a, cease.
Okay. No, I understand. And that.
Right? Like you don't go up to everybody that's speeding or doing whatever bad and saying, sometimes let them off, sometimes you don't. At some point, you got to start putting your foot down too. I don't mean on the pedal.
Any other questions on this report?
Concerns, running radar east and west on 53rd Ave. Are RCMP also enforcing this, or is just the town enforcing it?
RCP, they're out there. Yeah.
Are they enforcing it as much as the town is enforcing it, or do they not seeing it as much of an issue?
Well, they're enforcing it as they have the time. Obviously, they're more inundated with paperwork than we are, so we're out there more, obviously, but it's one of those things that but they're there. Today the traffic sheriffs were here in town. So.
And just curious if in your reports could we see numbers of bylaws that were enforced that month, or what bylaws are being enforced? I'm just curious as to how much actual bylaw enforcement our peace officers are doing in town. That's where I'm trying to get. Are we doing more RCMP work, or are we actually doing more bylaw work? Is it 50-50? I'd just like to see the breakdown in the reports, if that's possible.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. Any other questions? Don, Debbie? No? Okay, thank you, Alan.
I got another comment.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's in the next agenda item.
Oh,
Make a motion to receive for, do we have to make a motion to receive for information?
yeah.
The reports from emergency.
Okay, all those in favor? Good. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is the traffic bylaw number 1-215.
This was initiated by Mayor Cox regarding angled parking in front of Richards Lumber and the Legion. So I incorporated that, and plus I added some other stuff that was, I guess, pertinent to the traffic situations in town. I also included, for the benefit of the skateboard park, having the users or the children there wear appropriate equipment when they're skateboarding or biking on it or whatever they may do. So I just incorporated that into the traffic bylaw too. Another one was, council was mentioning about the possibility of putting weights and measurements on the 50th Ave for big trucks, so I put that in there too. On the off chance we go for that, if not, no big deal. It's there if we need it. If we don't need it, then we don't need it. But I incorporated that into the bylaw also.
Just one question, we can already put a road ban on that road, we don't need necessarily this amendment, do we?
No, not necessarily, but it makes it that much simpler, I guess, so to speak.
Clear, yeah. So the three big changes are the angle parking in front of Richards, the skateboard park equipment, or equipment for the skateboarders,
Yeah.
and the ability to put on a road ban.
Just a couple quick questions. In part 10.2, you got any person operating a bicycle on a roadway. Just curious why you didn't include the rest of the list like you have on 10.5B. You got skateboard, inline skates, roller skates, non-motorized scooters. Just curious why that wasn't added there. And my second question, 10.5A, no person under the age of 18. Why not just make it no person shall operate?
Well, if you're 18 or over, you're an adult, so you're not required. So you can, it's your choice if you want to wear equipment or not. But so I put the age under 18, just so the fact that.
No, that's fine. I was just
Okay.
wondering why the age. Why wouldn't it just make it across the board?
Is that not consistent with provincial?
That's correct. Yeah.
With the provincial laws is 18.
And for riding a bike on the right-hand side of the road, that also, just put that in just for the convenience that we've got a few kids around town with those, I've noticed this during the summer that they weave in and out of traffic quite a bit, so I just put that in there just for the convenience of the.
That one was one I had a are you done, sir?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. It was about the biking. So that's actually another part of this is the
Yes.
is the biking. Because I got the chance to ride my bike lots, and I often, when I was riding, I would just turn left from the left-hand turn lane of the cars, and you see that often in a lot of places. The the cyclists will go with the flow of traffic to make a left-hand turn, and I wasn't sure with this. The way you've got it written sort of makes it sound like you have to sort of go on the walk lights if you have to stay in the right-hand lane.
It's just for public, like the safety of the cyclist. Yeah, to turn left, you have to cross into the path of the roadway. But normally, you should be staying on the right hand side, so you're not impeding traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah, to turn left, you have to come in, and you have to follow the rules of the road then, and do all your signals and make sure that you're not cutting into traffic.
Okay.
Under discussion options and benefits, the second paragraph also amended is the schedule. It's written down here as 1B or IB or 4. Should that not be VI, which is the traffic control devices?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's another part of it. I should have
Okay.
explained that. Right now, the bylaw shows 3 pages or 4 pages of traffic control devices.
Yes.
I'm deleting that
Why?
because every time you put up a new sign, you have to change the bylaw. So right now, I don't know, if you look under section 20.1, it states that council or the manager, CAO of the town has the authority to enforce I've looked at other bylaws from the town, and none of them have a list of their
So you're saying you're removing that one, I wasn't sure on that.
Yeah.
It is, cause I didn't have it all in color, and probably in the color it would've made more sense.
Yeah, sorry, it was a lighter,
Yeah.
sorry.
Struck it.
One more question. 2.1, in this bylaw, you have alley. Why is automated teller in a traffic bylaw?
Well, it's just a place of business. That's, it was in there, it was in the bylaw before I came along, so I just left it. I didn't see it.
I mean, I can understand the alley, boulevard, commercial vehicle, crosswalks, curbs, development, and it just seemed kinda odd why an automated teller machine was in the traffic bylaw.
Well, it's, we're trying to prevent soliciting and stuff like that, and that, part of that falls under the bylaw too, is you
So-
can't solicit for, in front of a grocery store or a liquor store.
Okay.
And this is a place where people get their money, and quite often there's people there asking for handouts.
Okay, no, I was just curious.
Oh. No, I understand your question.
Any questions, Deb? Everybody else has had a, oh, you got another one?
No questions, just a comment that on, the edited version of 6.2, for the purpose of this bylaw, I don't know if it should be semicolon or just a comma, then it should say council or town. Just to separate, cause right now it says for the purpose of this bylaw, council. And it should stop at bylaw, saying council or town manager should. So I would just insert a comma. If you can do that, amend it. Just amend it.
Okay.
And that's 6.5.
6.5 also?
No, that, it should be 6.5 instead of 6.2.
Oh, okay. That's done.
And I think
Yeah.
the other thing that you might want to take note of is that if you go to Schedule 7, the fees that apply to the infractions, you need to take note of that, page 101 onwards. Right?
It'll change from 7 to 6, Schedule 7. Is that what you mean, Kelly?
Yes, yeah, to 6, after you delete the other one.
Yeah, once they delete
Yeah.
Schedule 6, then
This one becomes 6, right?
the fee schedule becomes.
The fee schedule, so
Okay.
just, you need to know that
Yeah,
some
so
of
yeah,
the
it should-
infractions relate to some amounts in that schedule. And so, for example, 6.5 is $1,000, right? So just to make.
What was it before, or is that brand
It
new?
wasn't,
It's brand new.
Brand new, okay.
$100 for no comment for a child.
And then the failure to ride near the right-hand side of the road is $100, so just to make a, the fee for infractions.
Did we make a motion before we started discussing?
What's that? No, we didn't make.
Did you have to make a motion before you discuss? Just to remind
Yeah.
everybody. Make a motion that council give first reading to bylaw 01/2015, this 13th day of January 2015, as amended.
What?
But we're amending, we're putting that comma in. We're saying that 6.2 is actually 6.5. So we did amend it.
That's not a change in the bylaw though, I think the bylaw has it at 6.5.
No, it's just on the
Yeah.
cover sheet.
It's just on the
Yeah.
cover
Okay.
sheet, it's 6.
But this, the comma's missing though at the 6.5 also. So I would put the comma in. That's it.
Okay, any other discussion on that? We're all ready to give first reading, all those in favor? Trevor?
That council gives second reading to bylaw number 01/2015, this 13th day of January 2015. As amended.
All those in favor?
Council give unanimous consent to bylaw 01/2015, this 13th day of January 2015.
No, it is unanimous, right? So we don't
As
wanna
amended.
skip.
Yeah, if it's not.
You can just go to the last one, right?
No, you have to vote.
You
You
have to say that?
Unanimous, yeah.
you vote on that.
No, we haven't voted on the third one and, the third motion, and my opinion is that maybe we should wait for the other two to be here, they might have some comments, so
Nah,
I'm good with waiting.
well, that's your vote then.
That's my vote, yeah, but I'm just saying that, just to say.
I'd rather get her done, but I don't want this.
Okay, any other comments on it? All those in favor? Opposed? I had to be the one. I had to be the one. I warned you.
There goes another 50 pages, times how many?
I'm gonna kill another tree.
Yeah.
Tree killer.
Alright, moving on now, Public Works, Community Services, we're into 5F1, which is the letter of support regarding the Native Friendship Center.
Make a motion that council direct administration to create letters of support for the High Prairie Native Friendship Society Fire Track Training, Youth Leadership Camp, and the High Prairie Friendship Center Police Cadets Program projects for the mayor or deputy mayor's signature.
Discussion. No discussions, no questions. All those in favor? Carried. Alright, going to,
Make a motion that council receive the CAO Keli Tamaklo written and verbal report and action list for information. This will we can discuss.
alright. Do you want to talk on your report? Carl?
Just a quick one, just to introduce Valerie Billy, our new legislative secretary. Yeah, she just started today, and she's had close to about 4 years' experience in municipal background, working for Smoky Lake. So I am very, very joyful that we can get a full scope of our team to provide the necessary services for the residents of the town of High Prairie. Welcome aboard, Valerie.
Well,
Thank you, Val.
and she knows how to get to the heart of the councillors too, so she's.
Bribery and talk.
She's made a great first impression, I have to tell you that.
Have chocolate blue style.
Yeah. Okay, any questions for our CAO on
Other
this?
than that, I would like to say a big thank you to Brian and Kelly, obviously, for the great work that he did. I'm very sure, I heard about his frustrations that he had, and it's the role of CAO is what it is, but from the bottom of my heart, I want to say a very big thank you for holding the fort whilst I was on vacation. Thank you so much.
Good job, Brent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of coverage and a lot of fancy footwork.
Yeah, great. All right, Councillor Deynaka.
Just on the first page here, so are we still accessing and using Crystal then?
Yeah, until January 30th, but it's going to be more reduced with Valerie's presence. So it's only when we need something that we'll call her.
So is she getting her standard month wage or just,
Per hour. What
Per hour.
what she puts in for the hour.
okay.
Yes.
I'm just curious, on the page 115 at the bottom, there were 10 residential permits at a value of $627,000. Yeah, that's my question. Where now? I'm wondering if those are garages, sheds, renovations.
They were, it reflected on Daryl Suchuk's one house on 56th Avenue,
Yeah,
and the rest were carports,
Yeah.
sheds.
cause that's a really
Minor-
low
minor
amount for 10
developments.
properties, and that's,
Bargain.
well, would it have also included the, one modular building that came in this past month and a half, 2 months?
Yes, it did.
And that's a low amount.
Well, it would just be the cost of the modular, right? Wouldn't be the setup, it wouldn't be the assessed value.
Just let me go grab that sheet of paper. Okay. I had to give a report to Richard.
Just sticking with the CAO report before we move on to his action list. Your action list, you got it here at the first notation of your report. Does that include all action lists right from when you first started, if they weren't completed, or do you only go month by month? How do you do your action list? Just curious.
The ones that we complete drop off
Yep.
into what is called completed. Anything that's outstanding, and the recent completed ones, those are the ones that we show to you.
So if there was stuff outstanding from September, it would still be in there since September?
Yes,
Okay.
it's outstanding, yes.
That answered my question, thank you.
Okay, back to Brian.
There was an addition to a single-family residence. The rest were basically additions. And there was two residents. The one, the mobile, and the new one that Suchuk had put up.
What's the value of the modular building?
284,000.
That doesn't mean leave very much then. From 627, if I take 284 up and up to 450 for, yeah,
Well, Daryl's
That's pretty
300.
yeah, 350. Yeah, need more residences.
On your last one, January schedule, I'll be working in the office in January except for the January 22nd. You have a commission meeting on the 21st. Are you back in town then for the 23rd?
Saturday, that's the 23rd is a Saturday.
23rd's a Friday.
Oh, okay, 23rd is a Friday, no, 23rd, except for 23rd. I'll be working, sorry, except for the 23rd, 2015, I'll be working away from the office on Friday. Is that Friday?
Yeah, Friday is the 23rd.
Yes, then it
so
should be
I'm just-
23rd, because I leave for commission meeting at 2 o'clock on Thursday, so that's 22nd.
Right?
Yeah, thank you. And then, so the 23rd, I'll be working away from the office. Thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
I put my apologies, yeah. Okay, yeah, makes sense now.
We've got sharp eyes on this council.
Yeah, I
No
didn't,
question,
yeah, I didn't catch that. Yeah, yes, you're right.
And,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
No, my hand's not up.
just curious on policy number 03-2012, that's the personnel policy. How does the CAO position fall into that personnel policy? Is there a different policy for what the CEO does? Like in the personnel policy, it says personnel should be in the office, the admin 8:30 to 4:30. Different ones are at different times. Does that reflect towards the CAO? Does the CAO not have a policy of when he's supposed to be in the office, away from the office?
No, my contract speaks for itself.
It's all in the contract?
Yes, my contract speaks for
Okay.
itself. And I guess at the CEO level, it's more results oriented. But also have on a monthly basis from the day I started, the amount of hours I put in every month, and it's all in the vault. So you can measure that against what I'm being paid for. It's 170.
It was just curiosity.
Yes,
if
no,
you
I'm just-
were,
Okay.
that was all the question was, yeah.
Okay.
Any more, Joe?
No, that's
No.
it.
Sorry.
Oh, you didn't have your hand up? Oh, okay, I thought you had your hand up. Any other questions? No? Okay, we had
So I think, on page 117, a lot of these you have ongoing, you have timeframes?
Yeah, I do. The AUMA, I'm hoping that in the next 2 weeks we should have that. The one for the contract, we should have that within 2 weeks. The 20 users, we should have that within 2 weeks. Yeah, we should have that within 2 weeks. The one for 771, I've talked to Brent, might take a little longer because of the information that we need for that. Yeah, the trailer one, we're dealing with that. And then the one for the budget deliberations, and that's going to be very, very interesting because I'm currently working on we're currently working on all the RFDs for that, for the 29th meeting, when we meet for the public deliberation. We're going to bring all of that to you for your approval. So that will all be covered on the 29th. Going back to my report, the workshop that we have on the 28th, there are going to be 2 parts to it. The PowerPoint presentation with the programs and costs, and then the second part will be the detailed expense report, so that we all have a chance to have discussions, open discussions, and then once we do that, then the next meeting we'll just have a summary. But I've invited, maybe tell me if I'm going on in the wrong direction, I've invited the rec board, I've invited the library, I've invited the museum as scheduled delegation for the 29th. I'm thinking if it's too much for that day, I might bring them for the 27th if I don't have too many things, if you don't mind. And then we have lots of grants applications also. We'll provide that information, plus all these things that we send to budget deliberation. The fear I have is that in the public input, sometimes we have only 1 or 2 people, and we don't want to end up spending the whole evening having only 2 people, but at least we have an agenda. If we're not able to complete the things that we need to, then we can move it to another date. So at least we'll give you all the things that you've required for, the budget deliberation information, the grants, and they have all our scheduled delegation. Either they come in on the 27th or they come in on the 29th. I will figure out how heavy the agendas are, and then we'll go from there. So just to give you a good picture of how we think. I'm meeting the senior management at 9 o'clock tomorrow. We run some of these things by them and see how it all fits in, so that as a team, we are all working on the same page.
Just it's the 28th and the 29th, isn't it, the very next day?
Yes.
You were saying the 27th.
The 27th is a regular council meeting.
Oh, okay.
And then the 28th is a workshop. And then the 29th is the
So
public
3 days in a row. Okay.
budget deliberation. And it all starts at 7 and it's all here. Okay.
Sure.
Just lost my train of thought here. Earlier in the meeting here, we were talking about the different contracts that are coming due, and I feel kind of personally attacked that I was insulting you or going after you, but I'm not. I just go back to the different motions that council has made. Back in April 14, 2015, regular council meeting, we're saying we want tenders for the auditors. Motion 76514, this was in December, but we've also mentioned it earlier than that. Mayor Cox provided a list of contracts that have been entered into the town. This is what this council's been asking for. When I see something like Warren Powers pop up, this is where my frustration comes in, is when we have the different motions before us. And so it's not a personal attack against the CAO or anybody else in here, it's just accountability. If this is what this council wants and has made motions for and asked for previously, when we see something like this come up, it's frustrating. And that's where I was going with these 2 here. And then Councillor Emter already touched on the ATCO trailer, so I guess I'll just let that one go. And then the reason I was asking for the one report for water expenses, sewer expenses to go forward. You have a motion on the books here by Mayor Cox, 7/32/14, requesting the, or not, I can't see where it is here right now, but the mayor has asked for that top 20 users to come forward, so we have a motion on it that we need this information before we can even just further investigate and have the information before us. And then when we have it in the agenda, it's kind of frustrating that now we got to sit here and discuss it all, and now we're going to postpone it to another time when there's already a motion set forward that we needed more information and all the information brought forward. So to have it on the agenda, it's kind of frustrating. We have these action lists and stuff like that. If we just followed the action list or the motions made by council, we wouldn't have to continuously bring stuff back and postpone or discuss it this time, and then now we're gonna wait till next meeting to discuss the whole thing again. It seems to be a waste of council time. There's information that is asked for and needed before we discuss it fully. It should be waiting until we have all the information before us, before it comes to council meeting. And that was my frustrations with that.
Thank you so much. On the issue of the auditor's request, once the motion is very specific, we try to be very specific with the motion. So let's tender the auditor's contract or have a request for proposal for the audit. That's very specific. We do that. You request for a list of contracts and the deadlines. That we provided that to you once already. It does not specify that we should advertise when the contract is coming to an end. It does not state that. Council operates by virtue of council operates in the element of resolutions. The more specific the resolution is, the more directly the administration can take on the resolution and implement it. So for example, when you say bring something like the water and the sewer stuff and all of those things, if you want a specific point in time that you want that information, if you state that, I want that information by the end of January, and we do not deliver on that, then you have every right to say, you know what, you are not implementing council's resolution. Because sometimes when it's open-ended, we as administration will come up with some interpretation as to where does this fit in the whole scheme of things for us. And so I'm not trying to defend myself, but the more specific the resolution is for us, the more it speaks to what we should do at what point in time. And so I understand the frustration when we can't get it right because you have something right in your mind, you want it to be done, and you thought you had expressed it specifically in a resolution, but we are seeing it differently because the resolution hasn't addressed it specifically. So we run into that kind of misunderstanding.
All right, any other?
783/14, moved by Councillor Emter, council authorizes the mayor to sign the community officers agreement. Has the letter been sent? It says that we're no longer offering the Bylaw enforcement services after 2015. It says completed on page 125.
You said? Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. In fact, they received it and they called me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called as a follow-up just to let you know. And they want to come with an entourage, not an entourage, but a group from Prairie, and they want to make a presentation to council. So they are working on that because they think that that service from us is so invaluable and that they want to make a plea back to the council. So it's been sent to them.
Personally, I don't know how the other councils feel, but personally, when a letter is being sent off on behalf of the town as mayor and councillors, I would like to see a copy of that letter, just to see what was said and how it was put forth. I personally, I would like to see a copy of that letter. Like I said, I don't know if any of the other councillors would want to see the letter.
I think the concern just is a little bit the timeliness of when we ask for a letter to vote. Sometimes I don't know if we have the opportunity to. Didn't we talk about that before? That if we wanted to see letters, they'd have to come back into the next agenda, and as long as
Not necessarily to approve.
Oh, I
of.
see. Just to sort of.
It's like when we
This
put
is
a
what we
motion
said.
forth saying,
Okay.
please send a letter to such and such on behalf of town and mayor and town council that we want to do this, just to get a copy of that letter. Firstly, I would like to see a copy of the letters that go out on our behalf.
The one thing that about letters, and I went back and looked at even the one that was given to Warren from us, is the fact that the letters just take in the resolution. It's been the safest way to send a letter outside which speaks to the voice of one council. So we'll say further to the resolution of council, blah, 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 and then we end. So we don't add anything more than anything else than what is in the resolution. So once that letter has been sent, when we give you the information, we say completed. There's been all kinds of discussions as to whether we provide background information. It only adds more to the confusion because one councillor can say, oh, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. So the safest way that most administrations have dealt with it, right from historical point, from the town perspective, even from the MD perspective, is to further the issue to the resolution because that's your voice. And it's as simple as that. And that's all we say. We don't try to do anything else because that could create all kinds of confusion. And if that's the information that you need, should be no problem, we can send that to you as well.
So do I need to make a motion then to have, I make a motion that any letters sent out on behalf of the mayor and town council of High Prairie be CC'd to all councillors and the mayor?
We have to vote on the current motion that's on
Okay,
the
yeah.
table but
Then you can make that one.
then you can make the
Okay.
motion. So, but before we leave this and vote on receiving his for information. yeah.
Last crack at it, I got.
Last crack, okay.
On your completion action list, you have different dates of when they were completed. And then the next set of pages, it says completed but no dates. Any reason, as a courtesy, could we see when it was done in the future?
When I put a date, when I put a date, is because that particular resolution is being implemented in the next meeting.
I see.
That's all. Just to let you know that I'm not lying, but it's on your agenda. So you can relate your agenda to the father. Because you get your agenda and then it says completed. But then when you check your agenda, it's completed for January 13th. That's the only difference.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my last question for you, I promise. Motion 76014. Councillor Emter that council direct administration work with the MD of Big Lake to draft a High Prairie Airport lease agreement and have it brought forward to a future council meeting for council review. And it says completed, but I don't see it on this agenda.
Isn't that the one that you sent to the lawyer and it'll be
Yeah.
back and, so it's
Yes.
not done yet?
I see.
Cause it's not
What did he say?
presented to us.
But what did he say completed?
But it just says
Should
completed,
say-
so I.
It says what?
It says completed, so you assume that it's
Page
on.
123.
Should say ongoing.
123, and it's.
Oh, no, it's ongoing. I apologize. Can't be completed. No, sorry. It's not completed.
Good catch.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of receiving this for information? All right, Councillor Deynaka.
I make a motion that any letters sent out on behalf of the mayor and council of High Prairie be CC'd to all councillors and the mayor. Does that make sense?
You can just say
questions, comments? Kelly?
No, that's fair.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Go ahead, Councillor.
Make a motion that council receive the Big Lakes Family and Community Support Services report November 2014 for information. Call the question. Why we even get this, I don't know. I understand why, I just.
Well, before there might be a question.
What are you gonna ask?
They might be able to answer it, but I don't think so. Any questions? No? No? All those in favor? All right. Moving on. Councillor Emter.
Make motion that council approve the attendance of 2 council members at the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference from June 5th to June 8th, 2015 in Edmonton, Alberta.
What was your motion again, please?
Make a motion that council approve the attendance of 2 council members at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference from June 5th to June 8th, 2015 in Edmonton, Alberta.
Discussion, questions?
Mr. Chair, if my memory, if I can I can recollect my memory, was the same motion that was made to Ontario. It created all kinds of confusion because it wasn't very specific as to who was supposed to go, and created all kinds of pain. And so if it's something that you might want to take into consideration.
I would hope that we will determine who is there by mid-February. The problem is right now we have 1 person away, well, 2 people away for personal reasons. So I don't want to make decisions without their input.
Okay, any other discussion? I know that, and we had a bylaw that said anything out of and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to figure this out, but if it's out of province, it was a maximum of 2. If it's in province, does our bylaw say only 2, or it could be more than 2? In a bylaw? It just leaves it open. Okay, I just wanted to do that because this might be a great opportunity if anybody wants to go to FCM. It's a great opportunity to go, otherwise you may not get to go to an FCM. And it is in my opinion, a good chance for networking. There's, you get to meet with others. So I would support having other ones being able to go if they are able to, being that it is in province. That's my thinking.
Just further to that, and I agree, we went last year, and not all of the topics were suited to small communities. A lot of it was based on what works better for cities, and we're talking about transportation and college and just things that maybe weren't quite as pertinent. But where we did really gain it, and maybe it was over time that we really started to see that, was the networking and developing relationships. We spent a lot of time with the MD Greenview, as well as even the MD Big Lakes. That was where lots of conversations got started, that allowed us to bring forward requests like what we did with the intermunicipal agreement, where we brought forward the request for $1 million. And I don't think that some of those relate, like, it started with Greenview because Greenview did it, and it sort of just mushroomed from there. That yeah, the reason why it hadn't been done in the past is because nobody really asked, and the relationships weren't there. So you start to take a look at what you bring away from some of those conferences, and I think that those are sort of valuable experiences that we're not really considering, as well as there's bits and pieces of that conference that are useful and that we're using now. I agree with lots of the topics. They're not going to be pertinent to everybody, and I think that we all have a budget, and instead of dictating who goes where, what, everybody knows what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what you want to do, and what how you think you can help your job as a councillor. And for some people it will be FCM, and for some people it will be other conferences, and I don't know why we won't just make the choices that work best within the budget that each council has for honorariums, for expenses for training or education, or whatever category that needs to be in, right? Like, I don't know why we wouldn't just let people make the decisions. I mean, there's really great conferences. The Growing the North is a very good conference as well. It's gonna suit some people, and then timeframes are gonna suit some people. Like, why dictate now who goes, and then that person can't go, and we're still gonna be in trouble.
We're not actually dictating anyone can or cannot go, it's just 2 people, we're limiting the amount of attendees, that's
Right.
all.
But if, like, we have conference budgets, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, isn't that not how it works? Like, so, is that, do we have a conference budget, right? And a training budget, and an expense budget?
I think we vastly exceeded our conference budget last year.
Right, so now
And-
make us not exceed, like, I think last year we were just approved to do this and approved to do that and approved and people did it, and then you took a look and said, I don't think we even knew, what our budget was, so, I mean, our budget was probably understated, and I do think that we went to the meetings that we were asked to go to, we had extra meetings for training, and that's probably part of the reason why our budget was increased, and I have talked to previous council, and it got to the point where they didn't go to very many meetings, and they weren't, they didn't need the budget to be up, because they weren't doing as much maybe as we did this past year, so that's probably part of it. But, I mean, I think if we have parameters to live by, and everybody knows this is your budget for expenses, this is your budget for honorarium, this is your budget for conferences, you can go to 2 conferences, or you can go to.
We have X amount of dollars and have that.
Exactly, so.
No, I have no problem with that, and we'll discuss that and deliver that on the 28th, I'm sure,
Mhm.
right? And build the parameters of the idea of what's going on. I know some councillors have no interest in the FCM or the AUMA. I would really encourage every councillor to appear at the AUMA just because it has impact when we sit with the ministers that everybody's there. Whether we do or not, it's just a personal opinion. I think we do. I think this last AUMA was, I'm appearing to be very successful. Having Pearl sit with us and having a visit with them. The FCM, I don't know what it will offer for a small town in northern Alberta. I can agree with that it's a great time to network with our neighbors, but then our neighbors at the same time, we could do workshops with them and go out for drinks or whatever.
But we're not, it's already there, and it's, what I mean, that's.
Yeah, I know,
that's
but
not
it would be a
happening.
lot less cost, right, instead of $4,000 per person, to attend, so,
Yeah, no, just a thought on that is that, I mean, if everybody just is governed by their own budget, make your own decisions and,
You don't like
stay with it.
budgets.
Pardon me?
You don't like budgets, but I like your idea, I like the budget idea,
Yeah.
and that's something that definitely should be brought up at the 28th.
Yeah.
Let's do this, self-imposed limits on each one, and here's what you can do.
Make your decisions based on,
Yeah.
I mean, within the parameters of what are allowable conferences, I mean, are ones that we're invited to.
Well,
because-
and benefit for the town, hopefully.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, any other discussion around the motion?
The only other thing, Kelly, is when is the early bird, does it say there that when you need to sort of register people, and can you register and then pull out and have no penalty? Because I did find out last year that we waited, and they said we should have just registered everybody, give everybody a name, and then whoever didn't go, they would just have taken out. The same with the hotels, they say, make the hotel reservation, make it for 5, 7, however many, and there's no penalties on any of that canceling, and then you can decide in March, in April.
Did we book for the hotels?
For the FCM?
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Yeah, for everyone. That's
Just for caution. We just.
Yeah, so then,
Yeah.
we'll
That's
have
good.
that. And then we can cancel, it's
Yeah.
not a
I
big
don't
deal.
think anyone's actually registered though. I think it's just the hotels that are booked.
Do you remember if there's a date on the early bird registration, cause there's a benefit
No, I
for
can't
savings.
remember. I remember seeing something with Crystal, but I'd have to look at it again.
Okay, we'll look into that,
Yep.
right?
I'll look at it tomorrow.
We'll look into that, the hotels and then the registration. Okay. Provide it for, yeah.
discussions? So we have the one thing that we'd have to, with this, we've got a motion that we approve 2 members. We don't saying which ones, and we're not saying when we have to approve those particular members by. But we know we'd have to do it fairly quickly on ourselves, so that doesn't come by if we go with this motion of 2, as opposed to whoever would like to attend, right, is sort of what Debbie was getting at. So that's I guess that's the big question at this point, is how many would we approve, and then we want to wait to see if the other 2 are interested in being able to attend. But by the time our mayor is back, I know Debbie's going to be gone, so I don't know if we have an overlap there where we don't have, where we're gonna have everybody in the room again. So that'll be a.
Weren't you here for the, no, you didn't care about budgets. No, you do. You do care.
I'll care from the pitch.
So, so we're ready to vote on this motion. And council approved the attendance of 2 council members. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Moving to Growing the North Conference. Any motions?
Since nobody else will make a motion, that council received the Growing the North Conference being held in Grand Prairie February 18th, 19th, 2015 for information.
Okay. Discussion, questions, comments? Okay.
I attended the Growing the North Conference last year. I didn't see any real benefit to it whatsoever. There was some great speakers. The only really relevant topic of the day there was bees that we could bring back to the people of our area. So that's my feeling when I went. It just didn't seem like it was money well spent for the town.
Debbie?
I went to the conference as well, and I do think there was a few other speakers than the bee guy that was beneficial, including we had Roger Brooks there with branding, and we had there's it really depended on what you were interested. What I liked about Growing the North, and I do think that anybody who's interested in it'll probably be too late if we have to wait till the 28th to discuss whether or not people will sort of be able to go and choose conferences within the parameters of their budget, but I think that one is a very good networking opportunity, but it has to be something that you're interested in doing. I found that walking in there was councillors from Fairview, from Peace River, from all other small communities. It was probably the best one to be able to meet our neighbors, all of our neighbors, and be able to talk to Slave Lake Council, even just the Grand Prairie Mayor, Grand Prairie councillors. They were all because it was a smaller conference. You could spend more time networking with people that were more like-minded and had the same sort of situations, and come up with some, what they were doing for solutions to policies and bylaws. And so that opportunity exists for you to get everybody all in one room. Now I know you can have workshops with all these people just the same, but I mean, where do you get a couple thousand of these delegates that you could have the opportunity to, and we're talking about what does this community do for this type of contract, and who do they use for this type of contract? I mean, that is an opportunity to kind of go and do that. So if anybody wanted to go, I mean, I'm not around during that time period, so I certainly can't, but I thought it was a very good conference for that opportunity. As well as they do deal with the economic development of the North, and they focus on the economic development of our North region. They deal with, oil. They look at it a little bit differently than FCM, especially FCM that maybe goes on in like Ontario or Manitoba or somewhere that's so far away that we did have to dig and find things that were relative to our area. At Growing the North, it was more directly related to our area.
All right. Councillor Deynaka.
I attended the conference last year. Roger Brooks was good. I think his name was Sean Shuchuk. But again, I found that a lot of the presenters really had nothing that would benefit us in High Prairie. They talked oil, they talked gas, but that was all Grand Prairie and area. And please don't take this personally. And I hear when people go to these conferences and stuff, they use the word networking. And I'm thinking, so you've gone and you've networked with everybody, and then when you come back and you give your report, I don't get that information that you networked, and this is what you learned from so-and-so, and this is what you learned from these people here. And so when we go to these conferences and we talk about, oh, it's great to network and whatever, but what are we bringing back?
Yeah, and I guess maybe that's part of it. We don't really have an opportunity for open discussion to find out what did that councillor from Strathcona County really bring to the table, because I've learned a lot from one particular councillor from Strathcona who I keep in contact with. He actually found out he had a place up in Juicart, and we visit, and every once in a while we talk about the same sort of things, what they did. He's been a councillor for 20 years or so he brings lots to the table. There's lots of stuff that but yeah, I don't give a report on it, and we don't really have we don't have a format to allow us to do that, and maybe that's what we really do need to do, is say, this is what I did learn, these are some of the things that, the contacts that I did make, because the same with the CAO from Peace River, had really great opportunity to sit down and chat with him about what they're doing, and now I've gotten, emails about bylaws from him and his admin secretary, the one up in Mackenzie County. So those are those opportunities. They say, oh, I got this, and I'll send that to you. And so, you compile it, and yeah, maybe it doesn't all come to this meeting format. Maybe we need to look at how to pass that information forward better, right?
Yes, so maybe there is some benefit to these. Personally, I didn't find this one beneficial, but maybe I, wasn't really sure what to expect, because this was
It was brand new to
the first conference and stuff, so.
Yeah, I think it's something that's important for the mayor, though. I don't know whether she's going with the Economic Alliance in terms of her workplace, but it's one thing that she's always tried to attend. It's something that I know for sure. So and Michael is not here, so Councillor Long. So if you were to make the motion up to 2 people, because it's very close to, I think, February 18, 19, it might give a leeway. If one person wants to go, then at least you send one person. That's just my humble suggestion.
Well, just a quick question. Who might be interested in going and is able to go? No? So we've got 2, and I might be able to go. I don't know, I'm just looking at my work commitments. I have one thing on that same day. I might be able to switch, so there might be up to 3 that could go. Sorry? Oh, sorry.
Just to clarify also, I'm not sure if the expenses presented are correct. I know the mayor, I think, brought it up last year also. On the Tuesday, it starts at 7:30 in the morning. So unless you're leaving town at 5 a.m., which most people probably don't want to do in February, they'll be going up the night before.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right?
Yeah.
So there'll be an honorarium the day before, another night of hotel for each person. So we may have to add a few $100, just a couple, right? Just to bring it up, because it starts there's a 6 till 9 on the Monday, 7:30 till 7 on Tuesday, 7:30 till 4 on Wednesday.
6 to 9 is social.
Yeah, but you would still drive
But
up
you
even
still
for
drive up,
safety.
yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Like I would go up the day before. I wouldn't leave here at 5 o'clock in
Yeah,
the morning.
they start early on their big days, so
Yeah,
driving up
you
on
don't
that
want
same day is
to-
probably not a good idea.
Yeah. So
Any other discussion on the motion that's on the floor is to receive this for information? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? You're in favor of receiving for information? Okay. Opposed? All right. it's carried. We won't have anybody at Rowing the North.
Well, if, Michael or the mayor, the chair or the mayor wanna bring it back to the table?
Rescind, probably.
What's that?
Be too late in February.
No,
Oh, it's February 18th.
yeah, they got time, they can rescind the motion on the 10th and have it brought up again. I've tried before. I lost, but whatever, not petty.
Can we, I don't think when we receive it for information, it's dead. We can't make another motion to say receive, or can we approve?
But it can be brought
people
back
to
at a
go-
later date.
can go back at a later date.
So why can't it be brought back at a later date, but it can be?
Well, you can bring it back now, but I would, unless you're changing the information, the vote shouldn't change.
Okay, moving on to, agenda item Catholic School Board meeting.
Make a motion that council approve the following members of the High Prairie Council. Chair Michael Long, Councillor Deynaka, Councillor Carrier, Councillor Debbie Rose, Councillor Panasiuk, to attend the meeting invite by the Holy Family Catholic Regional Division number 37 on January 15th, 2015 at 11:30 a.m. with the MD of Big Lakes Council and the Holy Family School Board trustees at the MD of Big Lakes office.
Is that all?
I'm in Edmonton, no, I'm in Edmonton, so I skipped me and I skipped Linda. So everybody but Linda and I is approved.
Okay, discussions?
Daytime meeting, I can't make it, so.
Okay.
Friendly
You're
amendments?
allowed to go if you want.
Friendly
No, you're
amendments,
allowed to go if
strike
you
my
want.
You're allowed to go, is it? That's,
That doesn't mean you will, yeah. Okay.
Is anybody else able to make it on that day?
I already have it in my schedule, I don't know why. How did I know about this?
That's odd.
Unless I have something else.
So Debbie's able to make it, Donna?
It's a day
Probably not.
meeting.
Oh, I don't have it in my schedule, sorry. Different one.
But you're likely.
Yeah, I
to
can
be
make
able
it.
to I might be able to make that one. There's a chance of being able to make that.
So it might just be the two of us.
And Michael.
And Michael might be able to make it, so. Okay. So those that want to go and are able to go are encouraged to go, so we have representation there. Kelly, are you going to?
I might see you there,
You're going to be there.
most likely,
Okay, so at least we have somebody there from the town.
from the administration.
From administration too, yes. Well, we're just saying we haven't got firm commitments from Michael. Debbie's a definite maybe.
It's at the MD office, eh?
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
is.
that's
yeah,
fine.
and I'm a bit of a maybe, but should be able to make it, so. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Moving on to our reports, which should likely be fairly quick. We have Mayor Cox, Councillor Carrier,
No report.
no report. Councillor Deynaka,
Nothing to report.
Councillor Emter.
No report. It was
No-
Christmas, come on, there was no meeting since the last time we met.
I know Councillor Long, and he's not here. Myself, I'm in the same boat, so nothing to report from.
Moving right along.
And Councillor Rose.
I have a report.
Oh.
Excellent.
Oh. You saw
This
Santa?
This is, some notes that were taken at a meeting on the 6th, which you've seen, Kelly. That I said I would go to that, meeting because nobody else could, because it was a daytime meeting for the stakeholders at the Native Friendship Center. And in the end, I couldn't go. Had a bad day on the 6th and couldn't go to the FCSS meeting or the, stakeholders meeting, but I had got ahold of Kelly and he kindly had the other Kelly attend the meeting for us, so we had some representation from the town, and that's the report that Kelly provided me after the meeting, so now you guys have that as well. So your update, the FCSS meeting that was on January the 6th, Ann Stewart was voted as chair, and now we're going forward and Ron and I will take over that role. On January the 10th, I went with Alberta Health Services on a doctor recruitment sort of visitation to the area. I met with Kevin Worry, Protocol Hasten, Ken Reeves, Roxanne Stuckless, the whole crew from the hospital, and a few other doctors from the Community Health and Wellness Center. As we toured around 2 new doctors, Dr. Abrud and Dr. Gahiri. They're giving a tour of the town and the current hospital, so we got to go into the new hospital, which took longer to prepare to go into the new hospital than the tour of the new hospital. And both doctors were very impressed with the region and the opportunity and the offer that they were being made. And their hold up right now is housing. So unless there's some sort of solution to housing, they may not be able to come because there was really nothing available right now for rent. So I think there's Ken's on a small committee that works on trying to find housing, and then they work with the staff that they have, and right now that's what they're trying to do. We provided them, I got them information from the chamber. They have welcome packages. I provided them with the welcome packages from the chamber. I went to CRC and got their information from CRC, and because these are 2 doctors that have got they're married with 2 small children, so they're really interested in the facilities that we have and the recreational facilities. And they did say that the reason that they would come to the community is because of, well, one, they love the idea of a new hospital and the sort of the type of doctoring that they can do here versus a big center, because they're sort of have to be so specialized there. Here they can sort of be jack of all trades, and they kind of like the opportunity to do that. And in the community, they're looking for something that offers a lot of recreation, and they really like the levels of recreation that we have here in our community. And they're both sort of outdoorsy kind of guys, so they like the idea of being close to the lake and stuff. So anyway, we had that little meeting, and hopefully something good will come of it. And speaking of CRC, I didn't meet with anybody about their requests, but they did come here once and they requested somebody to be part of their meeting. And I'm just curious, do we want to respond to them? Like, because we didn't respond to CRC with their request, right? Does anybody have a thought? I know this is a little not the way we do reports, but I do think that we need to respond to CRC. Do we want to intermittently have somebody say, I'll go to meetings, but I won't go to all, and I'll allow them the opportunity to send me an email and go to the meetings that they feel it's necessary to have somebody at, because there's topics that concern us, but they did come and ask if we would, and we didn't get back to them. Thoughts?
Yeah, we haven't got back to them, but I think we also made the motion where we removed them from the list. So that in a way, yeah, we said this, they came and asked if we'd reconsider, and I don't know if it's been back on the agenda where we've discussed it as a reconsideration.
So the way to handle it is to put it back on the agenda and deal with it at a meeting, because they did come in and ask them, they made a formal request, right? And right now it looks like we're just ignoring them.
I think that's probably what we should do, and have a discussion on how we'd like to handle that one. Does that make sense, Kelly, too? Okay, so we put that on an agenda. Do we need a motion to make sure it gets on the next
You want
agenda?
an appointment for?
No, we'd just like a discussion on whether we would want to attend the CRC meetings as putting it back on the list.
You want to make a decision?
Not now, but
No.
at another meeting.
To appoint somebody to sit on the.
We want to review the fact that we removed them, because they came back in and have asked us to consider that, and we haven't gotten back to them. So we need to discuss it and get back with a yay or a nay to their request.
The CRC, right? Okay.
Yeah, so we need to add that as an agenda item in the next meeting.
And 2 more little things, and they're both just sort of asks, but also just for information. I am subscribed to Roger Brooks and his just newsletters and stuff that he gets, and he's got a conference or a webinar Thursday. Anyway, I'll find the date, but it is called Strategic Plan and New Action Plan. Learn development of your own action plan. Roger Brooks is hosting. We will receive a copy of the real action plan and one that he's already prepared for an area. And it's sort of like with strategic planning in mind, but more your own, as a councillor, action plan to go forward and move things forward. It's $65, and it's a one-time, or that's for one person to go, but there's different rates if you were to like have a big group that was viewing it, but I was wondering if we wanted to allow us to sign in and, or maybe we can do this under our training budget, and that's again why I say if we have our own budgets and you can say, okay, I know this is what I would like to do. The neat thing about this is that you can, once one person signs in, you can have access to it and anybody can use it for 2 weeks. So anybody else can sort of view the webinar, and then we can get sort of information on this topic, and this is that Roger that we saw in. So, do we have to get things like this approved, Kelly, or is it something that if we were to say, okay, I want to do this, this is an educational opportunity, and I have an expense that's earmarked, my educational expenses, am I able to do this? Or do we have to bring it for council? And because I do have copies of, somewhere in here, what it is, but I'm not certain that anybody else is overly interested in seeing it.
So, up until now, everything you do is approved by council.
Okay.
So if you go into the future, talking about different formats, I think they have to be guided by policy, because it's going to be all over the map that can be very confusing and they just tear you apart if you're not very clear as to, because people can take off without council approval. So who shows up at the meetings? Question number one. Right? I'm saying that some of these things that you may want to just use your own fund in your budget to do have to be very well coordinated by policy. Otherwise you could end up running counter to each other in various ways.
Basically, the bottom line is to do what you were talking about, it's a change in policy that we would have to do. And so at this point in time, to attend that meeting, it has to be approved by council ahead of time, or you can bring it afterwards, in which case
for reimbursement.
for asking for reimbursement.
Tell you what, I'm registered and I will pay for it, and you guys can decide whether you reimburse me. Now, other than that, I was invited to an Aboriginal Aboriginal Leaders Summit on February the 27th at 9 a.m. Now, this is a sort of quickly put together summit because of some recent announcements in the Aboriginal community that I don't know all the details yet. But Peavine, Eastbury, a large group were meeting. I met with some of them, got a really quick version of what's going on, and they've invited all of the Métis First Nation communities, settlements, reserves to a summit in Edmonton on the 27th. They've invited Northern BC as well. Prentice is now, it sounds like, speaking at it. This is all just a conversation. I don't have anything like on a letter, I don't have anything formal, so I can't tell you much more besides they told me that Pearl was invited and that Prentice was one of the guest speakers, and they would like to see some of our council and MD council attend. And they said also bring us a wish list of what we need in the region. So I've made some phone calls and I've contacted Kevin Horry and talked with Kelly already about some of these things. I said, well, I mean, if it's really something that does come together and there are some funds that they've tapped into, sounds like there's some international relationships. And these international relationships will sound like they may be bringing some money into the area, and they may want to support and help fund some of the projects that we have in the area, joint projects with the MD, talking to Eastbury about some roads, things like that. So what we thought we'd bring forward is some of the, quickly we can bring forward numbers on the hospital, the kidney dialysis, the chemotherapy, the things that we actually need there to kind of complete. Those figures are out there fairly quickly. Other than that, besides our strategic plan the MD's plan, we don't really have much that we can provide this group that I can't really tell you much more besides that.
I commend you on your contacts and the work you're doing and the time that you're putting in for the town. You're taking a lot of leadership direction though. The FCSS meeting, the airport meeting, the touring with Alberta Health Services with the doctors, the invitation for the Aboriginal First Nations Métis discussions with Keli. I find these items should have been directed to council, not to an individual. I'm not blaming you, it's just the context you have, right?
Alberta
They know
Health
who you
Services
are.
was directed to council. Trevor May was
Was it?
asked. And
I was asked to attend and I said I couldn't make it.
I don't recall it, that's why I don't recall it. So I don't
think
know when it
sometimes,
was,
sometimes things come up quick and then they just maybe get a hold of whoever.
but I thought we're not supposed to do anything unless council approves somebody to attend. I mean, we get our hands slapped all the time by our administration saying.
I'm not charging anything for
Well, I
you know
know,
what,
but you can't even represent. Like,
if
we have,
we don't step in and represent, we're not gonna grow, we're not doing our job. If we didn't send somebody to the doctor's meeting, we're not sending people like, we didn't go to FCSS the first meeting. And that was viewed poorly, because our policy is don't send anybody, don't put anybody on a committee until we have, terms of
approved from
reference.
council.
So now we've got chairs, everybody's voted in, the whole thing's, and now we're gonna send councillors now. Like we're going in behind the door.
Then maybe
all
we
the way.
should have been invited at the start.
We were invited.
Okay, so at what point was the January 6th meeting set up?
I think it was December 20th, and I just got a text because they said, can you guys send anybody? You knew about that though, Kelly, right? FCSS?
So how did they have a
Phil
meeting
called-
before we even?
Phil called him.
Yeah,
I mean, I
but
think that,
the point comes back, and don't get me wrong, I'm going with what's been pounded at me for the last 14 months, is that we don't act on our own, we act as a council. And we do not take initiative, we do not represent, and we do not attend anything unless it's approved by council. And that's been reiterated for 14 months that we can't do this. We've had members do things and had their hands slapped. So I'm just saying, and I commend you for the amount of time you're putting in, I really do. I thank you for your connections and what you're getting accomplished. I'm just surprised the administration's not slapping your hands, that its other hands have been slapped, and reminding people that this is the process. Even to contact Deputy Mayor Carrier, well, I thought it should have went to council. You know, if you have to call a special meeting to appoint all these people to do these things, we could have did that on the 2nd of February or January. And then we could have attended the meetings.
well, I think the call came for Alberta Health Services about the day before. Like it wasn't really like there was time for a special meeting. And a lot of times that's what ends up happening. Like you get a call, we're gonna do this. I mean, you're right with the police or the commission meeting, and well, I mean that was the airport board. That was just they told me this is when the meeting was, and I said we're gonna appoint somebody. So it would pass forward that date. That was all. Like I just knew that was gonna be the date. And on the 6th, nobody else. We'd already established. Everybody here had said we cannot go to a daytime meeting. I said fine, I'll go to this Native Friendship Center thing. And so then we were asked to go to a daytime meeting on the 6th. Everybody had already said their answer. You can't go to a daytime meeting on the 6th.
Yeah.
I mean, so call a special meeting just for you guys to tell us again you can't go to a daytime meeting on the 6th. I mean, I hear you, but I'm feeling really frustrated too. And I'll continue to go forward, I just won't get ready to do what I'm doing. I'm not gonna change, because I don't think I'm doing anything wrong.
My strong discussions with Chair Long has been from your viewpoint, because I think we need to be able to react. When something hits the fire, we want to be involved and be a part of it right away. His response is, yeah, but Quentin, I don't know what you might be attending on behalf of the town. What if it's Ku Klux Klan? I said, come on. Have some, there's going to be some understanding that what we're doing is behaving as a councillor for the town or a representative of the town. But that was his stance, and he's very strong on it. And that's what administration has been saying for 14 months, so we don't do that. Well,
I certainly agree. If there's time, we should, we should be presented, this should be all presented at council, right? Everybody should make the decision, but there's a lot of time that there's not time. And then we have to be able to have relationships with our neighbors, and that's the way they deal, right? They find out, okay, we're gonna have a meeting, and they make phone calls quickly, and then they need someone to go. So sometimes that doesn't work, that we can't bring it to the table, we can't. And call a special meeting, seriously? Like, to everybody get paid to go to a special meeting to just make a decision as to who's gonna go to another meeting?
Then this is where we have another discussion, which I'm not allowed to do, is I like to do emails. But that's not done in public, so we can't coordinate that, because it's not done in public. I'm like, well, it's just saying someone can go to a frickin' meeting. We don't need a meeting to say that. But it's supposed to be done in public, it's supposed to be done by board, I get my hand slapped for that. It's like, I believe most likely the Holy Family Cross and the MD coordinated this Friday's meeting, right? I don't know when they notified us or that, but it comes in today. When we discover we may have 2 to 3 people that can go from council. Now, if we'd have been involved though in the coordination of the date, we might have had more opportunity or people available. I don't know.
I just got that information last week.
I think a lot of times that's what it is, right? They just quickly make a decision, we're gonna have a meeting, and they're trying to push things forward too, like whether it be the MD or it's the school division, or even this what is it?
So we need to have a better
Aboriginal Leaders
relationship
Summit.
so we get involved in part of the decision, right? On when we're gonna do things. When you're gonna plan the FCSS and we're gonna be at the table, let's be involved when the meeting's gonna be occurring.
That one probably had more to do with the fact, because it was like say, it was just before Christmas, and then everybody shut down. So probably, maybe we would have been, in a normal month, we would have been able to deal with it at our December meeting, but we didn't have a second December meeting, right? So then they needed to just inform us.
Well, I think we just need to build a better relationship so we're part of the decision
Build a
making.
relationship.
Well, if
You're
right
telling me I'm
now,
not allowed
Point
to
of
do what
order,
I'm doing?
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
I mean,
yes.
presentations are 5 minutes, I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
but
That's
It's
we
not
want to
presentation.
discuss and argue and
We're
argue, it
just
sounds like
going
a
back
policy
and
for
forth.
place.
It's
Here's a
not a
bylaw,
presentation.
5 minutes.
Okay,
Okay,
that's my report.
so one of the things, just going back to the strategic plan webinar, just a comment on that, if I'm not sure, what date is it? Do you know?
Thursday. I just can't remember the time. I think it's 1 o'clock.
If there was more that wanted to go and we wanted a group to be able to attend that, I could accommodate that at the college where we have big monitors and seating for multiple people, so multiple people could attend that. And I don't know if that's.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think that I can forward everybody the information, and maybe we can talk about it over email.
as long as we're not making a public decision.
But we should, going back to that.
But this should be the end of the meeting, and we can discuss this afterwards.
But,
Point of order.
but I think we need to
Point
have
of order. You can't talk about this.
You can't just say that and tell him he's in the middle of a sentence.
I know, but
It's not-
point of order can be said at any time.
what's the point of order?
The agenda's done.
Her report is done, we're arguing about policies.
No, we're
and dates
talking
and
about her report, it's not
5
finished yet.
minutes is all we're allowed for a report.
Well, we can extend beyond 5 minutes, we've done it many times in the past, it's not a hard and fast rule, we can change it. Yeah, we could discuss, but there is a point there where she needs a decision on whether or not she can get paid for this, so we could make
She told us.
I'll bring it back. I'll
Huh?
pay for it myself.
She says she's paying for herself,
Well,
she'll
I
bring
know,
it back
but
to council.
we could make a motion now on whether we want to accept that payment, so she knows, or we could bring it back, I'm just saying we could deal with it now. And I also was wondering about the housing, what's going on with the housing for the doctor, how we can deal
We're
with
gonna
that.
deal
But
with it in intermunicipal.
that's intermunicipal, okay, cause that's something that, for me is big item for our town and our community, if we got a couple
have
of
to have a
doctors
chat
that
with
they're
them on it.
interested in.
Because we need the MD involved in rental or whatever's done.
Okay, and the other thing that we need to, I think is very important, is this Aboriginal Summit, is who can go, and are we approving going as a council thing? I mean, you may wanna go as your own, but we may wanna have other council members attend, and how many can go and stuff, we have another meeting before the 27th, right?
It's the
No.
26th of February.
It's the same,
We have a few
no,
meetings, yeah.
27th of January.
I wrote February,
Sorry,
If that's what you
I
said.
said the wrong date, 27th.
No, I had January.
or sorry, February
Sorry.
27th at 9 AM.
Our next meeting's the 27th.
January 27th.
Oh, okay.
January, okay.
So we have a problem that our next council meeting is the 27th.
9 AM in Edmonton, like I said to Kelly, if this actually was go, you know, for the morning, early afternoon, and still get back for council meeting. I will provide you guys more information on it, and then we can look into what we want to do.
Okay, well, those were questions that I had. All right, with that done,
Accept the report for.
oh yes, accept a report for information. All those in favor? Done deal, meeting adjourned.
So when is the webinar?